Onto a top story. 2 female bombers have killed at least 22 worshippers in an attack on a mosque in Nigeria. The attack took place on the outskirts of the northeastern city of Maiduguri, the birthplace of the Boko Haram armed group. About 17 people were wounded in the explosions, and according to reports, one bomber blew up inside the mosque and the second outside as survivors tried to flee. The mosque is in Umarari on the outskirts of the city that is now the command center of the Nigerian military's war against Boko Haram Islamic insurgents. Several bombers have exploded themselves in recent months at roadblocks into the city that is manned by the military and vigilantes. Our Nigerian correspondent, Ahmadine Uyi, joins us over the phone line. Ahmadine, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Talk to us about the attack today in Maiduguri. Just take us through the events of what happened.
Okay, the military has released a statement explaining in details exactly what happened. Early this morning, at about the time of the morning prayers, 2 female bombers dressed pretending to be worshippers approached the mosque. One within the mosque detonated the IED strapped to her body. The other, a few kilometers away from the mosque, also detonated her own device. As of this moment, the military has confirmed that about 22 people have been reported dead with 18 injured. Evacuation happened in the early hours of the morning, and those who were injured were evacuated to a nearby hospital because the blast, the explosion did not happen within Maiduguri metropolis. Like you said, it happened at Umarari, Umarari, a village which is close to which is within Molai community, and there's a general hospital. So the wounded have been evacuated to the hospital and are receiving treatment at the moment. Audrey?
Ahmadine, do we know that this is Boko Haram that has actually perpetrated this act? Has anyone claimed responsibility at this point?
Yeah, at this point, remember that in the last few months, Boko Haram has resorted to unconventional attacks. It's been an asymmetric warfare, and it is expected that the blast, the explosions, all bear the hallmarks of the Boko Haram militants, because in the last few months they've been using female suicide bombers, because remember they had a stronghold at Sambisa where a lot of their fighters were holed up, and in communities where they are taking over. But in the last few months, the military have pushed them out and pushed most of the fighters into the Sambisa forest. In fact, there have been repeated assaults on Boko Haram positions and communities which are being held sway by the insurgents. As of today, no community is being held by the insurgents. If we are to go by what the Nigerian President Muhammad Buhari said a few weeks ago, but we know that there have been repeated attacks, IEDs planted by the roadside, attacks by female suicide bombers, and a lot of people believe that these are sleeper cells which have been activated, and because the insurgents no longer have the capacity to move in large convoys and attack communities, they are now resorting to try to instill terror and fear into the hearts of residents. Audrey?
Yes, Ahmadine, what are we to make of President Buhari's statement that Boko Haram has essentially been defeated technically? I mean, we see these attacks keep on happening. Just in January, I'm sure you'll also remember there was the suicide bombers, female suicide bombers as well, at an internally displaced camp for people who have been displaced. How do we believe his statements at this point?
Beyond the president's statement is what Nigerians generally believe. Because remember, we talked at a time where Boko Haram would take over communities, kill people with very little resistance. But in the last 1 year, we've not heard about it. All we see is that the few insurgents that have the guts to attack communities, they come in raids and run away. But Nigerians generally believe that the war is almost over, but because it is an asymmetric warfare, we know the cases that are happening in Afghanistan with the Taliban, in Pakistan and other countries who are experiencing the same phenomenon. For Nigerians, these attacks mean very little. We know that the insurgents will try, because that is what terrorism is all about: bring fear into the hearts of the populace and make it look as if there's no government that is in charge of security or can protect the people. But the general feeling by Nigerians, because if you even look at a lot of the communities where Boko Haram are taking over, you see IDPs are already returning. There's already a restoration of civil security. Police and other elements are moving in to maintain law and order. These are communities which were deserted many months ago. So the general belief now is that Boko Haram has technically been defeated, but Nigerians know that bombings will continue because they held sway for so long and they were able to plant cells in many communities. And so these cells are being activated at the moment.
Ahmadine, thank you so much for that update.